Welcome to my webinar on getting started with Amazon S3. So today I'll be giving you an overview on Amazon S3, different types of storage classes offered by AWS Amazon S3, how to use AWS S3 versioning to maintain continuous backups of the files that we store in S3, how to use S3 lifecycles rules to automatically take some actions like deleting the files or moving them to a different storage class. And finally, like we'll conclude it by hosting a simple static website in S3. And one thing to note here is we are not going to cover everything that S3 offers today. I'll stick to the fundamentals of S3 and its benefits and what we can do with AWS S3. And I'm going to switch between our slides and to the demo platform for better understanding. So before we proceed to AWS Amazon S3, first let's see what is the need for cloud storage. As the business grows, there is a need to store different types of data across the industries, which is growing exponentially. See, if you see nowadays, like most of the businesses are online now. So if you see bank need to store the data of their customers, the transactions that their customers are performing. And if you see any OTT platform, like they have to store their video content in a storage solution. And we have multiple businesses coming to online now, and as a result the data is growing exponentially. So for this we need a solution that can accommodate any amounts of data, and it can accommodate any type of data. For example, let's say we purchased a brand new laptop today, and maybe it has a 500 GB hard disk storage. So starting like maybe on day one, you might not use the complete 500 GB hard disk. But as you start using your laptop and the days passes by, maybe like after 6 months or 1 year, you'll end up using all the available disk space that you have in our laptop. The time what you have to do, you need to go to store again, and you may have to purchase another external hard disk, or you will end up like purchasing a new laptop with more storage. So the same case applies at the IT industry as well. So today, like when we are starting our business, like we may estimate, okay, hey, we may need 1 TB of storage space. After a few days, our 1 TB storage space will get completed. Again, we'll have to go and purchase more devices. A lot of human intervention required here, and buying those disks, getting them attached to our data center, it's a bit difficult task, and it's a time taking task. So that's where the cloud storage solution helps us. The cloud storage solution should automatically scale and able to meet all the needs. Okay, so maybe today, like I want to upload 10 GB of data, I can upload. And tomorrow, if I want to upload like maybe 100 TB of data, I should be in a position to my cloud storage solution should be in a position to accommodate that 100 TB storage solution for me. And at the same time, I should be able to read that data from anywhere and from any at any point of time. As businesses, as I said, like as businesses are growing, there is a need for like multiple platforms. Like for example, if it is a OTT platform might use a different technology, or a different platform altogether to access their storage. If it is a banking application, they might use a completely different framework. So the cloud storage solution should be able to support different kind of platforms. So whatever the platform it is, our cloud storage solution should be able to support to that platform. All our data, since it is a cloud service, all our data is in the internet. Okay, so by default, our cloud storage solution should have some basic security controls in place. Otherwise, there are high chances for potential sensitive data leaks. For example, you may upload like your personal data in a cloud storage solution, and then accidentally you may share it to public internet. Anybody can see your personal data, which is a security risk. And automation. So nowadays, like if you see across the industries, like automation is playing a very big role. and our cloud storage solution should be able to support. It should have like good support for automation that reduces manual interventions and disaster recovery. So generally, a disaster recovery can happen because of a natural calamity like a tsunami or a cyclone, or due to some unexpected accidents, like either by humans or by any means. In such cases, like let's say a natural calamity happened, and all the data center where our data is being stored, let's say if the data center is damaged by this natural calamity, or that entire data center is collapsed, we will lose our data because of this natural calamity. The physical storage devices might get corrupted, or they might not be useful. We might not be able to recover their data from those damaged devices. Now our storage solution should be able to handle this kind of disaster recovery mechanism. And there are many more advantages that we get with a cloud storage. Let's see like how AWS Amazon S3 is solving that problem. Let me explain like what is S3. So S3 is simple storage service. Okay, so it is a cloud storage solution offered by AWS. Why S3? So as I explained earlier, like we have a lot of advantages of using cloud storage. So this is where like AWS S3 as a cloud storage solution helps to meet all the customer needs. With S3, we can store any amount of data and we can retrieve it like any number of million times parallelly. Customers has the ability, like they can upload like tens of hundreds of TB of data, and they can retrieve it like any million number of times. You can store images, you can store text files, you can store any kind of files. As S3 is an unlimited storage, like we don't need to give a uptime commitment to AWS. Okay, let's say today I create one S3 bucket. Today I can upload like maybe only 1 MB of file, and as my business grows, I can upload more data to my AWS S3. The more you use, the more you pay. I'll pay only for 10 MB to AWS. Okay, so like that, as we grow, we can start very small, and as we grow, we can accommodate our customers' storage needs, and we can have like better performance and reliability. Okay, the next one is 99.99% availability and 99.19 durable over a given year. AWS S3 guarantees that this service, AWS S3 service, is available 99.99% of the time over a given year. So in a year, like if you see these 365 days of time, AWS S3 AWS guarantees that this AWS S3 service will not go down. It is available for you at any point of time. Okay. At the same time, AWS guarantees 99.19 service reliability over a given year. That means like if you upload data to S3 over a given year time, AWS guarantees to make sure that the data that you uploaded in S3 is not deleted due to a natural calamity or due to a human intervention, etc. As our data is in internet, there are high chances that this data can be exposed to public. So that's why AWS S3 has built-in basic security controls which denies sharing the data to public internet. Okay, so let's say like there is a need for you to expose this data to public, then you can go and bypass that basic security levels, and then you can have that data available over the internet for public. Okay, so with all these features, with all these options, S3 is a best fit for our cloud storage solution. Next, I'll quickly move to demo where we'll create one S3 bucket and see how easy it is to create and how simple it is to use. I'm already logged into my AWS console. I have one AWS. I'm in my AWS account now. Okay, so if you have created one AWS account already, to navigate to AWS S3 service, go to services in the top left corner and then type S3, select it, and it will open on the same page. To start storing our data in AWS S3, first we need to create one bucket. Okay, so where we can group data in that S3 bucket. Okay, so I'll just go and create a bucket. One important thing to note here is bucket names are unique across the all AWS account. Let's say, for example, I created a bucket with the name. No one else can create a bucket with this name. Okay, I'll try creating this bucket. You can see that bucket name already exists. That means somebody in a different AWS account has created a bucket with the name Raju already. So since this is not available, like I'll try adding any prefix or suffix to this name. I have my S3 bucket created. Okay, so once the S3 bucket is created, just click on that S3 bucket. So now you can see here I'm in my S3 bucket now. So currently there are no files here. You can see this bucket is empty. So to add files to this S3 bucket, just click on upload, add files. You can add any type of files, like I can upload a txt file, I can upload a HTML file, or I can upload an image as well. I can select multiple files at the same time. All my files are uploaded to my AWS S3 bucket. So it's very simple to create an S3 bucket, and it's very simple to add files or like any type of files to S3. Let's navigate to next section. Okay, so the next section is different storage classes provided by AWS S3. Okay, so there are multiple storage classes offered by S3, which helps us, like using these different storage classes, we can choose the right solution that best fits for our use case. So first I'll explain what are the different types of storage classes that are available. We'll start with a standard storage class. This is the default storage class. Next one is intelligent tiering, standard infrequent access storage, one zone infrequent access storage, Glacier deep archive. I'll take example for each and every storage class, and then I'll explain which solution suits best. If we take standard storage solution fits best for the data that is actively being used by multiple customers. Okay, for example, let's say like we are working on a banking application which stores customers account statement. Okay, some users will regularly check their last 1 month or 2 months of transactions regularly, and our application should be able to retrieve those files quickly and give it to users. Okay, so in that case we'll go with standard storage. Okay, so in standard storage we'll get 99.99% availability, 99.11 durability, and if you see zones here, zones, it is greater than or equal to 3. That means whatever the copy that we upload to AWS S3 in the backend maintains more than 3 copies. If one copy of data is deleted accidentally or due to a natural calamity, we still have 2 more copies available. Okay, so that our data is safely stored in Amazon S3. And the next storage solution is intelligent tiering solution. Let's take the same banking application as an example. There might be some customers like who may not check their transactions regularly. Okay, some will check their transactions, some may not check. For example, like they are not using their online account, online bank account, or due to some reason, some people may not check their transactions regularly. So in that case, we don't know whether the files stored in Amazon S3 are readily available, or we don't know like whether they are required or not required readily. So in that case, what we do is we use intelligent tiering storage class. If we upload our file to intelligent tiering storage class, AWS S3 will automatically monitor the file in this class. If this file is not accessed in last 30 days or last 45 days, it will automatically move that file to a cheap storage solution. If you see standard storage solution is a bit costly when we compare with standard infrequent access Glacier. Okay, so intelligent tier will automatically move the file to a different storage class. Next one is standard infrequent access storage. So in standard infrequent access, we will store the data that is not required regularly. For example, let's say like we have application logs flowing in, or we have some data that we may not need it readily. We may don't need it available readily. In that case, we upload all our data to standard infrequent access, data that is not accessed frequently. And next one is one zone IA. So one zone infrequent access. So here the data that we upload to S3 is saved only in one availability zone. Okay, whatever the data that we store in this one zone, if the data can be regenerated, so even if the data that we store in S3 is lost due to some reason or something happened in the backend S3 infrastructure, and if we lose that data, if we can regenerate that data, then one zone IA is best solution. If we store our data in one zone IA, we'll pay less when compared with standard storage class. And we have Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive. So these two services are used for archiving the data. Okay, let's say like if we take our bank application, bank has to store their customer data for like maybe 10 years or 20 years depending on their policies, but not everyone will go and look for their like 10 years before transactions happen. Due to some reason, banks has to store all this data. Okay, so in that case, we move all our old data to this Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive storage for storing for saving the storage costs. Let's see like let's see how to move objects to different storage classes. Now when we uploaded our files to S3, we didn't mention any storage class. Okay, since we haven't mentioned any storage class, automatically the file is put in standard storage class. Okay, so let's say like I don't want this file to be in standard storage class. I can go to properties. So here I have the option of a storage class. I'll open the storage class, and then I can choose in which storage I want to keep my file. For example, I'll move my from standard class to intelligence tiering solution. You can see here now my test.txt file is in intelligent tiering solution. Okay, so this way like whenever we upload files, we have the option to choose our storage. First I'll explain like what is version. Okay, suppose you have developed a piece of code and it is working as expected, like you have finished everything. Now you got like another requirement where you need to add another module to your code. Okay, so instead of adding the new module directly on our code, we'll copy our code, we'll take a new copy and we'll start editing our new file. Okay, that way like if due to some reason, like if we do some accidental deletions of the existing code, we can quickly recover back, we can quickly recover back using our backup copy. The same way versioning is maintained across all levels. Okay, so versioning helps us to keep multiple versions of the same file. Okay, and at the same time, if a file is deleted due to some reason, like it helps us like to recover that file from accidental deletions. And if somebody overwrited that file, we can protect that file from accidental overwrites. So S3 has that feature. Okay, S3 supports versioning as well. So when the bucket is created, by default, we haven't enabled versioning. If we want to enable versioning, we can go to the bucket properties, click on versioning. Right now it is in suspended state. You can simply enable versioning. Okay, so now I have versioning enabled to my bucket. So if you see here, versions are in hidden state. Now if I click on show, it will show all current versions and previous versions. Okay, so right now all my files in the latest version. Let's say like I'll go to, now let's make modifications to one of these files, and then we'll re-upload the data, and then we'll see whether it is creating a new version or not. So now I have this test.txt file. So it has some random content. I just copied all the data. And pasted it again. Okay, so just pasted all the data, and then I'll go back to my S3 management console. I'll click on upload, and then I'll choose the same file, which is 547 KB. Now my file is uploaded. Now you can see here the previous file that we uploaded earlier is still available here. Okay, so the one that we just uploaded is tagged as latest version. and the one that we uploaded earlier, we still have a cap copy, but it is not the latest one. When we try to download, if we just hide the versions and see, we'll see the latest version that we just uploaded. So this way, AWS S3 versioning helps us to protect from accidental deletions and from accidental overwrites, because like it saves all the copies. It will not overwrite the existing file. Every time when we upload file, it creates a new copy of it. So next we'll see S3 lifecycle rules. Okay, so if you see like earlier, we uploaded our file to standard storage solution. Let's say like after 30 days, I don't want this file. I want this file to be deleted. Or after 30 days, I want to move this file from standard storage solution to a different storage solution. Okay, so if it is like 4 or 5 files, like I can do it manually. But when we see like when we have like hundreds of files or thousands or lakhs of files, it will be very difficult for us to identify the files and move them across the storage. So that's why AWS has a feature called life. Okay, so using lifecycle rule, we can take this kind of automated actions. Okay, so adding lifecycle rule is very simple. We'll click on add lifecycle rule. I'll give a name, for example, delete old objects. I can limit this to specific index, specific prefixes, or I can apply this rule to all objects in the bucket. So I want this rule to be applicable on all files in the bucket. In which storage class you want to take action, whether you want to take action on current version or you want to take action on previous versions. Okay, see if you see like when you enable versioning, AWS S3 doesn't overwrite the files. It keeps on adding multiple copies of the same files. Okay, so which like at the end, like you'll end up paying more fees, more charges to AWS S3, because like you are maintaining multiple copies of the same file. Okay, so maybe like you'll keep like last 10 versions of the file, and then you'll delete the older versions. Okay, so if you want to delete older versions, you can select previous versions. If you want to delete only current version, you can select current version. Transition. So here we are in transition state. So in transition, you can move the files to a different storage class. Okay, so I said in the name and scope, we selected this rule applies to all objects in the bucket, and then we want to take action on current version and previous version. And in the transition state, I'll say current version and expired version clean up after 365 days. So the file is uploaded today, and after 365 days, if I enable this rule, automatically AWS S3 will delete this object. And in the transition state, you can add a transition. For the current version, you file from standard storage class to maybe standard infrequent access storage, and you can review all your changes. So once you enable this rule, after 365 days, it will automatically take the action, like whatever the action that we specified. And then we have one thing pending: static website hosting. AWS S3 like provides us to a way to host static websites without the need to manage the backend infrastructure. So let's say like if I want to deploy a simple website, let's say I want to deploy a simple blog, my own blog. Like I need to have one server running in the backend. I need to have one web server which can display the content to users. Okay, so which is a bit difficult for me to manage. Okay, so instead of managing the backend infrastructure, I can simply use AWS S3 to host a simple static website. Using AWS, but AWS S3 cannot process any server-side processing scripts like PHP, ASP.NET, etc. kind of server-side processing languages. It can host only a static website. Okay, so again, hosting a static website is very simple. I'm in my bucket. I'll go to properties, and in that properties, I have the option static website hosting. I'll go there and I'll enable static website hosting. I'll just select use this bucket to host a website, and I'll say what is the index document, what is the what is the default page that I have to load when users click this URL. And if you have any error document, we can put that error document here, and I'll simply click on save. Okay, so once the static when we enable static website hosting, you'll also get one URL. So this is the URL to my static website. If I just click on this URL, it will take me to that file. Okay, so as I said earlier, AWS S3 has built-in security controls which denies making file public. Only users who are authenticated to AWS can access the file. Okay, so if you just select this URL and click, it will simply say 40. It will simply give you 403 forbidden error. Okay, so it means that we are not authorized to access this file. Okay, so for that, I'll go back to my S3 again, select my file, go to actions, and I have a way to make this particular file as public. I can make only this file as public. You can see here, this option is grayed out here. I cannot make this particular file, I cannot open this file to public. Okay, because the option is grayed out because of the security controls. I'll go to permissions. So inside the permissions, we have an option to bypass that security control. So you can see here there is a block on all public access. I'll click on edit and I'll disable that option and I will allow public access in my buckets. Type confirm here. Now I go back to my select the file, go to actions. So now our file is publicly available. So you may get a question like, so like since I have like only one file, I went to actions and make that public, made that file as public. So what if I have like thousands of files? We cannot sit and make all these thousands files public, right? So at that point, we have a concept called AWS S3 bucket policy. So using S3 bucket policy, we can have rules, we can apply rules to make all these files available publicly, or we can deny, or we can restrict to a particular IP address ranges, etc. We can do that kind of things using S3 bucket policy. Since like I have only one file, I just simply made that file as public. Now I go back to uh, the earlier page and I'll just simply refresh that page. Okay, so now you can see here, it is showing some sample website for me. Okay, I just have a simple static HTML content in it. It is just displaying it here. Okay, so this way, like we can host simple static websites in AWS S3 without the need of managing backend, without the need for managing the backend infrastructure. So just a quick summary of what we have discussed in this webinar. Okay, so discuss like what is the need for cloud storage in the industry and how S3 is helping us. And we have seen like how to use S3 versioning for continuous backups. And we discussed like how to use S3 lifecycle rules to automatically delete the objects or automatically move the objects to a different storage class. And finally, we have seen how to host a static website with AWS S3.